Ah, Pokemon. Who doesn't love Pokemon? Pokemon, it sounds weird. I'm Italian. I've always called them Pokemon. It's Pokemon, not Pokemon. God, that sounds wrong in my mouth when I say it. Yeah, no, I'm gonna refer to them as Pokemon from now onwards till the rest of the days of my life. I don't care. It's Pokemon. Pokemon, not freaking Pokemon. God. Where was I at? Oh, yeah. Pokemon. Yes, Pokemon. Who doesn't love Pokemon? Well, right now, a lot of people. And wait, I'm amongst them! We shall unite together, every single one of us! Unlike the Pokemon in Sword and Shield. Well, anyway, hello there, glad you could make it, friend. Who doesn't love Pokemon? It's a fantastic and safe world where you get to relive your childhood adventures in the nature, followed by cute and powerful monsters. Pokemon, it's a fun and joyous universe, and it makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. But amongst the many things I love about Pokemon, I love it when it does make sense. Better still, when you can make sense of it, with a bit of logic and research and science! Wrong channel. There's a myriad of great YouTube channels that analyze and explore every mystery and inner workings of the Pokemon multiverse. I'll be sure to link a couple of my favorites somewhere around here. I'm nowhere near as knowledgeable about this franchise to try and do the same, but I can focus on just one aspect of the Pokemon world. One aspect that is at the very core of Pokemon itself. Evolution. Let me get in the proper attire. There we go. When talking about Pokemon evolution, we must first clarify what we're talking about. Most Pokemon can evolve, meaning they transform into a different, stronger creature. This process is closer to real-life metamorphosis than actual evolution, but this doesn't mean that real-life evolution doesn't have its counterpart in the Pokemon world. Evolution, meaning the genetic mutation that occurs from a creature to its offspring through means of natural selection in order to give the resulting creature an advantage in being able to survive and reproduce, and furthering the process itself to the point that distinct population of creatures start diverging from one another until they are totally separate species, does happen in Pokemon. We have multiple confirmations of it. Be it Pokédex entries, lore, regional variants, it is fascinating to me. And you know what? It is an endeavor, but with enough research and a bit of speculation, one could reconstruct the entire phylogenetic tree of Pokemon. We even know their Luca, that being Mew. It's a far less daunting task than real-life evolutionary and phylogenetic reconstruction is. This is what this series of video will be about. We'll take a closer look at Pokemon species and their possible relationship with one another and do our best to determine and reconstruct their Pokevolution. Now, a word of humbleness. I'm far from the first to try and do such a thing. Many wonderfully made phylogenetic reconstruction have been proposed before, and though all of them are valid since they are equally non-canonical, I take my issues with some connections made, and I think these videos would be better if not influenced by the previous attempts. After all, if you work in the field of biology and science, you must be willing to throw everything you thought correct out the window. But what is it about Pokevolution that would make it different? I didn't say okay Google, like nowhere near that. Well friends, I'm not here only to speculate possible common ancestors, no, I want to draw them and bring them to life. We're bringing fictional paleoart reconstruction into the mix. Okay, alright, let me tell you how this works. Let me get this out of the way. I am no scientist, I only have a passion for biology, evolution, science, and learning in general. I'll do my best and a ton of research in an effort to teach you all about evolution via Pokemon, but I myself have a lot to learn still, and so mistakes are bound to happen. Don't take everything I might say as scientific fact, and feel absolutely free to correct me anytime I say something wrong. As long as it's respectful, any criticism is welcome, and I will try to correct myself. If I made a mistake, therefore, the entirety of an episode might be considered wrong. But this is fine. This is a process and we will correct and shift things. We'll add new branches to our Pokevolution tree, remove others, recognize our mistakes, but we are getting this thing done. Eventually. At the end of the day, this series is about having fun and learn stuff while we draw Fakemon and talk some Pokemon. That's it. Okay, so we know what evolution is and how it works, but how can we tell if two Pokemon are related from an evolutionary point of view? Well, it's not simple. I mean, if we are to model our classification of Pokemon based on our real-life classification of living organisms, which itself proves to be very flawed, we run into some difficulties. There are things like biomechanical Pokemon, man-made Pokemon, Pokemon that we can't really compare to any real-life creature. Most of these considerations will happen on my part behind the curtains, but I will break my thought process every now and again if it's interesting enough or could help us learn something. First of all, like in real life, we can garner much from how similar two species of Pokemon look to each other. It is likely that two Pokemon that resemble each other are indeed closely related, but this is not enough. Convergent evolution does exist, and it must be taken into consideration. What about typing? It's easy to say that two Pokemon who roughly look the same and have the same typing might be closely related, yes, but thanks to regional variants, which will be so useful in the series, believe me, we know that it takes relatively little time for a Pokemon to adapt and change its type, no matter how drastically. Another point of contention might be the number of evolutions a Pokemon has. Pokemon with a single evolution, two or none, might reveal that they are closely related to each other. Except for the fact that, thanks to this little guy here, we now know that losing an evolution through the process of evolution... God, this is a problem here. Yeah, we need to fix this or we'll be so confused we'll hit ourselves. Let's say it like this. Losing an evolution through the process of Pokevolution doesn't require much time. Acquire one, however, I suspect takes a fair bit longer. So in our decisions, we should analyze the Pokemon first stages more closely than their final ones. So, how can we be sure? Point is, we cannot. Not fully sure at least. That is why I decided to look and give a score for similar body plans and body structures. A limb going vestigial takes less time to evolve than an extra head. I decided to look into what animals every Pokemon is based on and if they are related in real life or not. There is a fair amount of speculation and guesswork involved, but with the help of the Pokédex entries, real-life parallels, a bit of knowledge of the history of the Pokémon world and its regions, I think it's more than feasible to come up with possible connections and with a reasonable design for two Pokémon common ancestor. But this takes us to our final point. I have so much fun drawing and designing these Fakemon, and I try my best to apply my knowledge on how evolution transforms an organism to these designs. I don't want them to be merely fusion of two Pokemon, not all of them at least. But at the end of the day, it's my artistic choices, and whether I think a design works fine or needs a complete overhaul, the decision to go ahead or back to the drawing board is mine. That rhymed. I didn't intend for it to rhyme, but it did, and now we gotta live with it. Feel free to criticize though, as if I feel your criticisms are solid and valid, I'll be more than happy to do redesigns. And with that, I hope you're ready to talk some Pokemon, learn some science, and see some cool designs. This is Pokevolution.